I'm John Gray, and this is Win the Day with James Whittaker.
You're listening to Win the Day with James Whittaker.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
Broadcasting from Los Angeles, California. Here's your host, James Whittaker.
Let's go!
Hey winners, welcome back to Win the Day. The quote for this episode comes from Tony Robbins and says, "The quality of your life is the quality of your relationships." Today we welcome back the legendary Dr. John Gray, author of the global phenomenon Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, the best-selling relationship books of all time. John has spent more than 40 years helping millions of people around the world build stronger relationships by understanding the biological and emotional differences between men and women. His groundbreaking work has been translated into 45 languages and continues to shape how we think about love, intimacy, and partnership. John first joined the show in episode 101. That full-length episode has since amassed more than 140,000 views on YouTube alone, making it the most popular episode we've ever recorded. It took a little bit of time, but we finally got him back to record a follow-up episode. John returns to unpack what's really been happening in modern relationships and why so many well-intentioned couples feel disconnected despite loving each other. Drawing on decades of research, biology, and real-world experience, he explains what most people misunderstand about attraction, stress, and emotional connection. So whether you're trying to reignite a decades-long relationship or help your kids navigate love in the age of dating apps and hookup culture, this episode is for you. We'll also go through why understanding hormones is key to lasting attraction, the number one reason couples fall into a rut and how to fix it, how to fight less, reconnect faster, and deepen intimacy, the truth about modern masculinity and feminine power, and how to build a relationship that gets better with time. Before we begin, the right bit of inspiration can completely change the trajectory of someone's life. So if there's a friend or loved one out there who needs to hear this episode or could use some help to win the day, share it with them right now. All right, let's win the day with Dr. John Gray. Well, John, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
Well, what's the biggest problem that you see in relationships today?
Well, I think, it's always when I see couples with challenges, I look at it through the filter of Mars and Venus. They clearly aren't understanding each other. They tend to, if you don't realize somebody is almost the opposite of you, you'll tend to give them what you would want. And usually that takes you down the wrong road. And so I've got 20 books on all the ways we make mistakes in relationships. But the biggest problem today, understanding differences between men and women gives us solutions that make sense, they're easy. But the big problem is women tend to be more on their male side. And when they're on their male side, they feel more self-reliant, more self-sufficient, and they're not aware of, why do I need a man in my life? When you're aware of what you can get from a man and how to get that from a man and what you need, then you feel more vulnerable, you feel more appreciative, you're able to give a man what he needs. Whereas men need to feel successful in helping a woman. And when women don't feel they need help, there's little he can do, and it just doesn't bring out the best side of him.
And with most households today having two working parents, huge financial pressures, what advice do you have for couples trying to stay connected and keep love alive amid all that stress?
Such an important question, because when women are in the workplace and they feel the financial pressures, they're making male hormones. When I'm making male hormones, no problem. Men need to make 10 times to 20 times more male hormones. Otherwise, we're going to be stressed. Women don't need to make so many male hormones. What they need is more female hormones, estrogen, oxytocin, progesterone. All these hormones particularly get produced in one of the most efficient ways by talking about her feelings. Now, if she talks about her feelings, and I wrote about this in Men Are From Mars, and one of the ideas in there was men just realize when a woman is stressed, she primarily needs to talk about what she's feeling. And if you just let her talk, then what will happen is her estrogen levels will go higher, because estrogen goes up when you feel someone's listening to you. Okay, particularly if they're listening to your feelings, particularly if you're having stressful feelings. See, there's stress emotions. There are things like frustration, disappointment, anger, concern, worry, fear. These are called stress emotions. So if you're stressed and you're a woman, you need to talk about those stress emotions. So in Menopause, I explain this. So many men have thanked me. They say, oh gosh, I just let my wife talk and I don't have to solve it. I don't have to fix it. But then what happened is women's stress levels went up after I wrote that book. Still, women are going more into the workplace. And what happens when women are in the workplace and they're on their male side is those emotions come up, but you can't talk about them in the workplace. You can't complain to people. You can't express your frustration. You have to be cool, calm, and collected if you want to be successful. So women suppress those emotions. Men don't suppress the emotions. Men only have negative emotions last long if they can't solve a problem. So basically, if we're stressed, we just go, okay, solve the problem. And if I can't solve it, then forget it. Women don't have a brain that will do that. On their brain, when there's emotions that come up that they can't talk about, they become automatically suppressed. Okay, so it's like in every situation, we're always feeling, I want something. And if you can't get it, when you feel I can't get it, then you go into a reaction, which is, well, I guess I don't want it, or I suppress it. Okay, I want to express what I feel, I can't do it, so I suppress it. So this is what's going on inside of women. This is why 90% of the people who go to counselors who talk about feelings are women, because when women talk about what they're feeling, their stress levels will go down. There's a place for men to talk about their feelings, but not to cope with stress. Okay, it's to open your heart more and so forth, and there's a certain way to do that. But for women, this needs to be a daily occurrence. So here's the phenomena that we know now what happens. When women are in the workplace and emotions come up, if she suppresses those emotions because they're not appropriate, when she comes home, they will become displaced on her partner. So instead of feeling frustrated a client didn't call back, she'll feel frustrated that her husband left his socks on the floor. So this is called displacement. It's a very well-known psychological phenomena. And when women have unexpressed emotions from the day, when they come home, they will displace those emotions onto their partner. And he becomes the reason she's unhappy or frustrated or worried or concerned, and as opposed to things that happen during the day. So I've had to expand my message and teach women, if you want men to listen to you, never blame him for what you're feeling. If in my favorite phrase now, it might be a title of a future book, which is make a man your hero and he'll die for you. And even better, he'll live for you. But the reality here is that when women just share their feelings about him and the relationship, when they're stressed, all that's going to come out is negative feelings about him and the relationship. This is the way we're wired up biologically. So women can learn. I just say to her husband, I just need to download my day to you. It will only take 10 minutes. As soon as you give a limit to it, it allows his attention to totally focus, as opposed to, I don't know how long this is going to take. So he's focused 10 minutes, and then she says to him, and he's all geared up to give an answer and whatever, and you don't have to do anything. Just listen, and I'll feel better. And actually, she will. Most women don't know that. You have to try this out, and you have to not say anything about him or say anything that he might take as blame towards him. Now, when a man doesn't feel blamed, what happens in his brain, if a woman is being vulnerable by sharing things that she wouldn't share at work, she's sharing with him. That's called vulnerability because, she didn't want anybody else to know, so I'm going to tell you, so that's cool. Well, when a woman is vulnerable, what happens in a man's brain is a change takes place. His mirror neurons open up. These are these neurons in the brain that allow him to feel what you feel. So what you say is, this isn't about you. I just want to talk about my day. Oh, my mirror neurons open up. And you don't have to solve anything. So they stay open, and he actually gets to experience compassion. This is what brings out the best in a man. He starts to feel, I want to help my wife feel better. And if just listening will do it, and she has to train him in this way by just saying, would you listen to me for 10 minutes? I just want to talk. You don't have to say anything. And afterwards, I'll feel so much better, and didn't give me a hug. Do this over and over. This man will learn to listen 100%.
The first time you and I met, I said to you back then how much I appreciated that. I had always rated myself as a good listener, but I realized from all the things that you had shared with me that a man's instinct is to butt in and try and solve the problem. And from that moment with the conversation that I had, I couldn't believe how often I was trying to do that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I still do it sometimes myself. I need to be reminded.
We can't stop it, right? So clearly it's not about the socks. If the woman's nagging about the socks, it's not about the socks. And the man is just trying to butt in and solve the problem. So if the husband takes a step back and realizes like, hey, it's not about the socks, there's a lot bigger picture here. And instead of me having that tendency to always butt in and solve the problem, let me understand that she just needs to download, she just needs to communicate. That frees the man up to be able to be more present, which brings more connection into the relationship.
And what you just said is absolutely biologically true. I mean, it's amazing. And to even take a step further, these are some of the ideas I found while researching and writing this new book about women. And it turns out that when a woman listens to another woman, her brain is different than a man when he listens to a woman. Something different happens in the brain. What happens when two women talk is blood flow goes to the empathy center of the brain, the limbic system, the connecting, I'm feeling what you feel kind of a thing. And blood flow stops to the logical part of the brain if she's having stress emotions. Okay, stress emotions are frustrations and disappointments and worries and concerns and feelings of regret. So that's what stress emotions mean. So if a woman is stressed, she's having stress emotions. And so by talking about that with another woman, they feel like, yes, I know what you feel. I have the same problem. Because she has the same reality to a greater extent. And so what happens during that time is the limbic system becomes flooded with blood flow. She feels empathy, but temporarily blood flow really stops to the prefrontal cortex. When a man listens to a woman, blood flow, if she tells him you don't have to fix it, then blood flow will go to the limbic system about 50% of what a woman experiences. So we'll have some empathy, but then blood flow will always go up to the prefrontal cortex, where he's going to be optimistic and think, oh, I can help you with that. And it will actually go to the action part of his brain, where he not only feels optimistic, but motivated to do something to help you. And this is the difference between a man and a girlfriend. She's not that motivated. Men will devote their lives. You know, you make him your hero, he'll die for you. This is men. For thousands of years, we do dirty, difficult, dangerous jobs. We're happy to do them as long as it makes our wife happy. Women don't do that. Okay. That's not what they do for each other either. So get the men to do that. Okay?
Yeah, they're too smart.
Yeah, exactly. But we can now see the brain functioning there and hormones functioning is that when a man does not grumble or complain, but does something that's difficult or challenging, his testosterone will go high. And men need high testosterone to lower stress. Women need high estrogen to lower stress. We're biologically designed differently. For women, they need 10 to 20 times more estrogen than a man to lower their stress. And for men, we need 10 to 20 times more testosterone than your average woman in order to lower stress. So this makes us two different worlds.
So what happens in relationships then when those hormones shift later in life? Menopause for women, andropause for men, and what can couples do to stay close through that transition?
Well, it's not just happening at menopause. Now you have perimenopause. Some women at 35 are already stopping, no longer making estradiol. Estradiol is the hormone of happiness for women. Okay, when I say estrogen, I'm talking about estradiol. Now, another form of estrogen gets produced later in life for women. Perimenopause, it starts happening. Menopause, it's happening. At postmenopause, it's happened. And what's happening is this shift from estradiol to estrone. So we got two kinds of estrogen. One is the kind of estrogen that says, I can depend on a man and get support. I can depend on the world. I can depend on God. It's a feeling that I have help. I can reach out and get help. Okay, that's estradiol. And if she reaches out, that's called oxytocin. If she reaches out to get help, our body will make oxytocin. And if she gets help, her estrogen will go up and her stress will go down. Now, most scientists don't know this yet. I started talking about oxytocin. I didn't know it in the early 90s, but I learned by watching women who were pregnant or women who saw babies, how the glow would come on their face. I asked, what is the hormone that gets produced? Well, the hormone is oxytocin. So then in 2001, there was this research study done, famous study, showing that women's stress goes down when oxytocin is produced. But what the study didn't show is that women's stress goes down if they make oxytocin and then somebody supports them. So it's all, it'd be like, talk with a girlfriend, they both understanding each other, oxytocin gets produced, stress goes down, only because they're getting the support they need. I watched it with my daughters. if they were talking to a girlfriend and the girlfriend, just started talking to my daughter and she didn't ask my daughter what she was feeling and what she's going through, my daughter would be, well, she's not a real friend. It has to be reciprocal. So if you give, you have to get back. So oxytocin is a hormone that a woman's brain is designed to give in the place where you'll get back. But if you give to someone you don't get back from, you produce oxytocin, but it doesn't lower your stress. Because so many women, when they're giving in relationships and they're not getting back, they're going to feel stressed. The problem is they're giving when they don't get back. They shouldn't be giving so much. They should learn how to get back. And that's, of course, a lot of my work, which is about that. I went off the subject there, but now I'm coming back to it, which is you talked about hormones at menopause. Now, what happens is a shift from estradiol, which says, I need help. It's the part of you that reaches out, and then when you receive support, estradiol goes up. At menopause and beyond that, a wonderful hormone gets produced called estrone. Estrone is self-sufficiency. This can bring great peace to a woman. It basically says, I can do everything, okay? But it interferes with feeling I need help. So if she hasn't developed the skill of making estradiol, and estradiol isn't just dependent on having her ovaries. It can be made from your skin, it's made from fat. It's just you have to stimulate it. And for the young woman, life's circumstances are such that you depend on a man to make a baby. So there's all this, you're much stronger aware of your need to get help. But if you continue with the skills that I teach, which is to stimulate estradiol by needing help, particularly from a man, that will stimulate estradiol. That's the support we give women. But at a certain point in life, her body naturally starts making estrone, which is good. In case your husband dies, you still have the sense of, I can do it myself. But if you don't have estradiol, you don't automatically feel, I need help. You have to have had your whole life learning help is available. But because women have gone to their male side, they do it themselves, they don't know how to ask for help, then they just go right into menopause and they just make estrone. And estrone is still important for her. It's what's called a weak estrogen. By weak, it means it doesn't have all the benefits of estradiol. So they get, you can see women have a lot of wrinkles, for example. That's a sign that they're very, very self-sufficient. They often feel like, I don't need anybody, I'll do it myself. And, when a woman, calm brain also comes from estradiol, strong bones, 90% of osteoporosis comes when you stop making estradiol and you make estrone. So it has huge effects on a woman's health if she doesn't continue to make estradiol. And I don't know anybody who's teaching women how to make estradiol, but it's what my work is all about. And my students, I see it with them. They continue making estradiol along with estrone. And that life gets even better.
Very, very interesting. For someone who feels like their marriage has fallen into a rut, what's the best way to communicate their desires or unmet needs with their partner?
Okay, so now you're getting into big problems. You no longer have attraction. So we'll look at one aspect of it. When a man feels attracted to a woman feels attracted to a man, things are wonderful, okay? But then what happens is in a relationship, oh my gosh, do I have to tell the whole history? It's a big problem, what you just described, for sure. When you're in a rut, you have to get out of the rut. Now, I'll just spoke about a very common rut couples get into. They get into a routine, and the routine kills the attraction. There's something called, things normalize. When something's new and different, when something's new and different, we make dopamine. When things are the routine, we habituate. That means no longer any dopamine gets produced. So you set up this routine, and it was pretty much working in the beginning because it was new and different. It was solving the problem. It's getting into a rhythm. It's producing serotonin. You feel comfortable. Dopamine starts going down because it's not new and different. So you have to change things up. That's why we have things called romance. In romance, for example, you change things up. Women do nothing and men do it all. See, right now, women are doing everything, men are doing everything. So if you create a shift where you say, okay, now we're going to be romantic. I'm going to do everything for you. You're going to do nothing except let me know 3 things that you would like to do this next weekend. I'm going to plan it. Oh, well, this is a big change for her because now she's not having to do everything, because that's what women think. Even though you're out there doing everything, they go, I do everything. Okay. because it does look that way. She'll stay busy and he'll be sitting there watching TV or something. So that's the rut. That's okay. That's life. You need to come home and relax and whatever. That's his cave time. And she's busy doing nurturing activities for her children and her friends and her life, hopefully. But the way you shake it up, you get out of the rut by she says, honey, next weekend, here's 3 things I like to do. Would you plan that and deliver? And he says, yes, he'll pick it and he'll do it. And because he's providing it, his testosterone will double. And because she doesn't have to do it, her estrogen will go up. That's one nice way to break. That's sort of more traditional, but I'm just explaining the traditional of planning dates. But what most people don't realize is when men will say, hey, honey, what do you want to do this weekend? That's not romantic. That won't do it. That's passivity. What you say is you have a conversation. Let's plan next weekend so that she has time to look forward to it. And what would you like to do? He can say to her. Or she can say, let's plan next weekend. Here's 3 things I want to do. Now, most of the time when a guy says to a woman, what do you want to do next weekend if he was to do that? She'll say, well, what do you want to do? Mistake. Romance is him doing for her. Now, why? Because when he does for her and she appreciates it, and she will because she doesn't have to do anything, his testosterone goes up and her estrogen goes up. That's the dynamic. If she plans the date and she does it for him, his estrogen goes up, his testosterone goes down. And that just makes men passive and they lose their spark. So this is what romance is always about. It's every romantic novel. It's everything. Let's just accept reality. We are different beings. We have these different hormones. So that's one. Now that we understand the logic, now my ideas are more radical, but they don't make sense to people if you don't have the logic of it. The logic of it, we've already understood. Men provide for the woman. So the next thing is you get into this routine. And because women are on their male side, they're suppressing their feelings, projecting onto him. They feel overwhelmed. They have so much to do. So there's this very common experience for women: overwhelm, exhaustion, tired. Well, you're definitely in a rut. There's no way a man can have energy around an overwhelmed, unhappy woman. You can't. Only thing that gives men energy is, look what I've done. And so you have an unhappy wife, his testosterone drops. So she has to allow him the space for his testosterone to go up. He has to allow him the space to create the space. Instead of giving to men, give men the opportunity to give more to you. But he's already doing everything he can. He has no energy to do more, so she knows that. I can't ask him for more. He's already tired. He's already exhausted. So it's a simple solution. Ask for little things and have an agreement. She can go to him humbly and say, honey, I have a problem. I get overwhelmed. I realize you can just forget problems. Amazing skill. I don't have that skill. I become overwhelmed. And it becomes like a snowball going down the hill, gathering more things I have to do and worry about and so forth. And that's called momentum. You could help me stop that momentum and I could relax. Would you like to help me? I don't know. Well, of course I want to help you, but what does it take? You say, it's very easy, but I need to have your agreement that you'll do it. It will only take less than 5 minutes every day. Would you be willing to help to make me a happier wife? And I'll be able to love you more for only 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. It's okay, what is it? And he will agree. This is simple. Men like simple. Imagine I could do a little job and make a lot of money. Oh, but that'd be a great job to do. He's already doing everything he can, and the relationship's in a rut. There's nothing more he can do. So if she complains, if she wants more, it's like I'm already doing the big stuff, and I can't do more. It's like you just loaded up, powerless to do more. We say, I don't need you to do more. You could actually do less of that. What I need most is little things. So this is how it would look. Now, for people in my generation, they've probably seen the movie with Inspector Clouseau. What was that movie? Now
I forget. I know the name, but it's not coming to me.
Popped out of my head as well. But anyway, Inspector Clouseau is a very funny comedian, and Pink Panther. Okay, so Pink Panther. Because what does that name mean, Pink Panther? Well, he was the jewel thief. But Inspector Clouseau has a sidekick named Kato. Kato's a karate master, Qigong guy. And whenever Clouseau comes to his apartment, the lights will go out and Kato will attack him. Okay, and you kind of go, what's he doing that for? To sharpen his skills, to be ready at any moment. Well, it also gives you a huge boost of testosterone when something out of the blue happens that you don't expect, that's not routine. So this is what women have to provide for a man every day, 5-minute interruption, giving him something he wouldn't expect. And what would that look like? She would put her hand up, which means 5 fingers, to show my 5 fingers go up. That means I'm going to ask you to do something that will take less than 5 minutes for me, and it will make me happy. And you don't have to do it every day, just do it this time. And all I need from you is to pretend. In the beginning, it's pretend. After a while, it's really fun. I need you to pretend that you immediately solve the problem, that I'm your VIP person in your life, the most important person that imagine like I go to the restaurant where I always get reservations and I come in, they all know me. I'm a big tipper at my own table. Dr. Gray, it's so good to see you. And they'll give me free champagne and an hors d'oeuvre, it's all expected, but they're thrilled to see me. So that's what a man has to do, is pretend to be absolutely happy to do that for you, and so she's asked him, would you make me a cup of tea? Right away, happy to do it. So he could be watching TV, he could be doing something. He stops whatever he's doing immediately. She's the most important person in the world, and he does those things. And then she smiles, that's all. So this is once a day. And in my book that's coming out, there's like a list of, I think it's 50 things women can ask for. But of course, it's just to trigger her mind. But it would be a cup of tea. Would you run upstairs and get my lotion and massage my feet? It can be, would you put the dishes all away, or would you take the dishes away? But it's something he doesn't routinely do. See, routine is the rut. So it's out of the routine. And so it'd be, hey, read this instruction on making this and do this for me. But it has to be something very, very within 5 minutes. And a man's mind will think, it only takes 5 minutes and it's going to make my wife happy. And when it starts to work, and it will, and I'm going to give you an example of one that works for me that she does probably once a week. You don't want to repeat it every day, otherwise it becomes routine. So she surprises me. But I'll be laying in bed going to sleep, or sometimes I'm meditating, and she'll come in with a big smile on her face because she has total confidence I'm going to say yes to whatever she asked for. She puts up her hand. She says, John, would you get me a cup of warm water from the kitchen? That's where the purified water is. So the first time she did it, I went, can we focus on something else? But I pretended. I got up. It's 25 yards to my kitchen. Okay. So all it takes for a man's testosterone to go up is to have a mission and purpose that's going to have success at the end. And what I noticed is all my grumpiness went away. I was very happy to do it. And I look forward to occasionally when she'll do that one, because I love to see my wife feeling so confident and at ease that she can ask me to do something. It's a wonderful feeling when your wife is trusting you in that way.
I love that, John. How closely do you think a couple's sex life is tied to the overall health and happiness of a relationship?
Well, I think that, for me, it's totally fantastic. Okay, I'm 74 years old. My testosterone levels are 50% higher than I was a younger man. I have a better libido than any time in my life because I practice this stuff. My relationship keeps my testosterone up, and my hard work I do. And my wife has a good life, so she's not overwhelmed and stressed all the time. She's got a good husband who helps her to talk about her feelings. I just know how to raise a woman's estrogen, and that keeps my testosterone up. That's the paradox. If a man does something to raise a woman's estrogen, his testosterone goes up. If a man's living with a woman with low estrogen, his testosterone goes down. And I have the power by using these skills to raise my wife's estrogen. So keeping that in mind. So to me, making love is one of the highest experiences. Taking care of my children, my grandchildren particularly, is another one of the highest experiences. But what happens hormonally when you make love and you have sex with somebody who you're committed to, you're devoted to, you both feel safe with each other, you care about each other, you demonstrate that, and you still have your sex drive, it can take you to the highest levels of hormonal balance. Because for a man even to be turned on to his wife, to get an erection means his testosterone is high in her presence, and now his estrogen's going up. If he just has high testosterone but no estrogen, no woman, he doesn't get an erection. It takes the feminine energy to give him the erection to go in. See, so that's, over there, I want to go in there. I think sex is so important. Unfortunately, couples, they burn out with it. They don't know how to do it with love. They do it routine. It doesn't have the passion in it. And you have to have the passion outside. You have to have the hormonal balance outside the restroom, outside the bedroom, in order to raise it to higher levels. Sex can only go to the high levels if you're already connecting outside the bedroom. So it's not the way to enjoy sex. You have to enjoy it out. You have to enjoy connecting outside the bedroom, but then to enrich your relationship to that higher level of much higher hormonal balance, more love, more being in love, it takes regular sex. I was going to say there's a thing that happens, particularly for men, because we don't have such high estrogen levels. We can know we love our wives, we are committed to our wives, but we don't necessarily have the ability to access feeling love. There's even books, I've seen men who've written books saying love is not a feeling because they don't have feelings. Okay, if you're really way too far on your male side, you don't really connect much with your feelings. In the beginning, you did for sure, but then if you can't have both sides of him connecting through her, he starts losing his erection. He starts losing interest in sex at a certain point.
Yeah, so the mistake then that a lot of men would make who are not happy with how things are progressing in the bedroom, they need to increase the awareness of what they're doing, how they're showing up every other part of the day, right? I know you really touched on that in the first episode that we recorded together, is that intimacy is so much more than just what happens in the bedroom. It's the little acts, it's the little things that you do every single day. Something that you've said here in this episode is so interesting, is that trying to break up that routine. So having more of that presence, breaking up the routine. A quote I think about all the time is that familiarity breeds contempt. It doesn't matter what the situation is. The more you sort of revert and fall into that familiarity, it just is not a great spot. So it sounds like a really good a good action for every man listening to this episode that you and I are recording right now is to have more awareness of what they're doing outside the bedroom.
Absolutely. It's the little things that count. That's what we probably covered on the other talk is, 4 hugs a day. I do a lot of, I call them relationship hacks. I'm really into biohacking, but relationship hacks are just as important. It's not her doing 4 hugs a day. It's me giving her 4 hugs a day. It's me pursuing her for 4 hugs a day. It's always man going into the woman's world and her welcoming him, her appreciating him. Another very important hack, if ever I start to get angry, I don't talk. It's very important for testosterone levels in men. You contain it. You learn how to contain it, and you learn to isolate yourself until you feel your heart opening again. Then there's also processes. Sometimes you just get so angry, you don't know what to do with it. Well, first of all, one of the easiest things you can do, which is not necessarily going to make you more enlightened, but it's just get your hatchet and go chop wood. It's been shown that chopping wood actually raises your testosterone more than winning a game. Success raises your testosterone, but chopping wood.
The literal chopping of wood.
Yeah, that was the study. They actually had them chopping wood and they had the highest testosterone levels.
But the lumberjacks are very happy to hear that.
They must be, or they're very unhappy because see, you got to have a woman to balance your masculinity. You go out and chop wood, you build up your testosterone, but then you have to anticipate. Now I have a woman I can go build a fire for, It's a good metaphor for that one. So it's a lot of the little hacks, my book are filled with them. We've discussed them, but the 4 hugs a day. Also, when I'm angry, if I get angry, I don't talk. I say, I'm going to take a time out. I process it. I'll just mention, we don't have time, of course, to learn how to process emotions. Women have to learn that even more than men. But when you're upset and you're stressed, you'll always have negative emotions. You have to learn to process them. Now, for many men, if they're not really much on their female side, they're sort of more solid on their male side, all they have to do is solve problems. That's the cave time, and they'll feel better. Because it's a matter of just testosterone. If your testosterone goes down, your stress goes up, then you'll have stress hormones. Those hormones, those stress emotions just go away if you do something that will raise your testosterone. Women's stress hormones will just go away if she does something to raise her estrogen. And talking about her feelings is one of the most powerful ways to raise her estrogen. It's not the only way, but it's one of the most powerful ways to very quickly by processing her feelings. But, I'm more, the more sensitive guy. I've got a very strong female side, very strong male side, which is making love pretty much happy all the time because of that. Because that's what orgasm is for a man. Orgasm for a man is when your testosterone is peaking and your estrogen is peaking. And then you have an orgasm, which ends it because you can't really maintain that high level of testosterone in the presence of a woman. Now, I can because I've spent years doing all this stuff. So I'm a little bit, my wife's in the mood practically any time because her estrogen's so high based upon my testosterone being so high. It's really a matter of we build on each other. If I can do something to raise her estrogen, my testosterone goes up. When my testosterone goes up, in response to her, it will make her estrogen go up. This is like we're perfect for each other if we get this figured out. Uh,
The balance, yeah. And
so anyway, that the thing about sex, it's so important. And many couples, if men's testosterone does go down, then he doesn't get erections. In that case, there's still a lot you can do without erections, and we should know that. There's a lot of loving and touching, and most women they'll say if a husband knows how to do foreplay and loving and touching in the bedroom, and she's gotten to a certain age where she's got more estrone, that's a very happy experience for her. It's just that my wife, I keep producing estradiol for her, and my testosterone's so high, so I can continue as I was as a young man. So it's an anti-aging thing too.
yeah, I love it. We'll be back with the show shortly. I've got a quick question for you. Are you living up to your potential? It's a question that shapes your family, your business, and your overall happiness every single day. That's why I'm excited to introduce the Win the Day quiz. Head over to winthedayquiz.com right now, answer a few thought-provoking questions, and you'll instantly discover how well you're performing relative to your true potential. And here's the exciting part for our Win the Day family. As a fan of the show, you'll receive a personalized and absolutely free action plan to help you win the day every day. Now, just imagine how transformational the results will be when you consistently show up as the best version of yourself in every aspect of your life. Don't miss out. Take the Win the Day quiz now by visiting winthedayquiz.com or click the link in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the show. How do you feel about the debate about whether or not, if people are in conflict, if a couple is in conflict, should they resolve the argument and then go to bed, even if it's hours later? Or should they go to bed and then hopefully they've both had a timeout and they're feeling fresher the next day? Should people go to bed angry?
Well, that's an old saying, never go to bed angry. And I said, well, if you can never go to bed angry, that's great. but pretending you're not angry is the second base for that. We'll put it that way. And pretty much, it's even good to have another room to sleep in. If you're angry, don't sleep in the same room with your partner. Because literally just sleeping in a different room will cause your anger to go away if you're a man. It won't for a woman. Women need to process their emotions. But she certainly doesn't want to be angry. She doesn't want to be next to him in the bed if she's angry. So that's why men, they go sleep on the couch kind of a thing. It's an old thing. And that's a good idea. Men need space, distance. When a man has distance, his testosterone can come up. And if he's too close to his wife, then that distance isn't going to be there, particularly if he feels angry or she feels angry with him. But for a woman, at least she has distance, but that's not going to solve it enough. What's going to happen for her is she really needs to have a skill to process her emotions. It doesn't just go away. She needs to talk about it. But then talking to him while she's angry at him just doesn't work. Women have the power. Women have this power. I have this power too, but women really have this power, but they have to learn it because they have more emotion. I can be upset with someone and I can go to my cave and I can write out my feelings about that and then completely forgive them, let it go, and I have my heart open again. So this is the secret of happiness in life, is your happiness isn't dependent on circumstances. Circumstances can make you happier, they can make you happy, but when circumstances don't, I have the ability to find my happiness inside. It's not going to be as much, but I'm going to be basically no stress hormones. So what women can do is learn how to process their emotions. I have techniques that I teach in my books, how to process your emotions. It's like higher level of gender intelligence. And women really need it more now than ever because when women are way on their male side, they're not able to even feel their emotions inside or the depth of their emotions. They don't feel any vulnerability. The key to make estrogen is to feel vulnerable. So when you write out your feelings in a specific way, I have a process where you go through whatever you're feeling, write it out, and then start processing it. What is it I don't like? What is it I'm angry about? What is it I wanted? What is it I'm disappointed about? What is I need? What am I afraid of? What are my worries? And what do I regret? What do I feel bad about? Then what do I want? By processing negative emotions, it's like we have two people inside. Let this child whine and complain for a little while, but don't share it with anybody. If you don't share your negative emotions with somebody, the pathways in your brain to have negative emotions start to disappear. You become more resilient. But you don't want to deny them. By suppressing them, it doesn't do anything. By expressing them to somebody who can't hear them, it's not going to do anything. And if you're blaming somebody, it would never let go until that person completely changes. So you're saying, I'm upset with you, and unless you change, I can't feel good. No, I'm upset with you. And behind my upset is a part of me that still loves you, can forgive you, can understand. And this is a journey back to the self. And so it's a hard thing to do because, I teach it in my classes. I did sometimes do these 3-day classes. I train people to do this. This is a very big life skill. And they have the best experiences of their life. They know how to do it, but they don't do it at home. It's called the feeling letter process. So finally, after 30 years, I've put together this algorithm that will do it for you. I mean, literally, it's an app. It's just about to come out. It's called Mars, Venus, Heart Space, and it'll be on all the app stores. We're still debugging it. And what it will do, it will ask you 5 questions, 1-minute answer to each. That's it, 5 minutes. Just answer the questions. And then it will write out 4 pages of what you're feeling. It will analyze what you're thinking, give you inspiring thoughts. It will even write a poem for you. Uh, it's really quite an uplifting experience to go from stress emotions to positive emotions. And it's based upon being able to see what you feel outside of you. You see, when somebody truly hears you, they're seeing what you're feeling. And because they're seeing you and you're seeing them see you, that's where the healing happens. But when my app can write out all your emotions and feelings in a letter, so what you would do is you're writing a letter to your partner complaining to them, but then it writes a better letter for you to go to your emotions and resolves it for you, and then has that person say nice things back to you, and it tells you what you would feel if your partner did that. Then you're feeling good again, and then you confirm affirmations, and then you can analyze yourself. It does that all for you.
The world needs it. Interrupts them at the right time as well. It's not something that, you go and do the few-day workshop, which is great, but when you come home, when the conflict happens or when you really need it, it needs to appear, and it sounds like it does that. Perhaps even with the shock collar for the man to make sure they get it done.
Well, it works for men as well, works for women, but the key is for women, if you're not getting what you want in your relationships, you're not creating the space for him to fill it in. And often when women don't know how to do that, then they try to motivate a man to give more by giving more to him, and that does not work. What works is give him the opportunities to give to you, to appreciate him, to trust him, to accept him as he is, and a man will ascend.
We had a really interesting question on YouTube. So episode 101 that we did together has got more than 140,000 views on YouTube alone, which is by far the most popular episode that we've ever done. This was a question that got upvoted the most, and I found this so interesting, and I've basically paraphrased it, but it says, many men today struggle with issues like infidelity, porn addiction, or compulsive sexual behavior, often rooted in shame, unmet emotional needs, or a lack of healthy role models. How can men start to break those destructive patterns and move toward healthier relationships and a stronger sense of self?
A lot of pieces to that, what you just said. We'll just cover addiction. And we all have shame inside, okay? So any problem somebody has, we can say it's shame. And so let's put that off to the side, what we can do about that. Shame goes away for a man, when you're producing healthy testosterone and your stress hormones are low. Shame is a stress emotion. It's a stress emotion. So if we start getting rid of the stress emotions in our life, addictions go away. But we have to know what an addiction is. When we call it an addiction, is something that we do that's not good for us. So the first step is you have to know what's not good for you. And porn is not good for you. I was blessed, okay? The reason my testosterone's so high is that when I was in my 20s, when most guys are doing porn or having lots of sex or whatever, I was a celibate monk. So I learned how to not have to masturbate. Okay, I have no part of me. It's just like, what? It's like, I would feel very ashamed if I did it. And most men do afterwards. And they will think, oh, that's because society tells us not to do it. No, it's because you just lost your life force. I have lost money. I've made a lot of money, and I've also lost big chunks of money. And I would feel ashamed about that. And then I feel forgiveness. I have to learn to forgive myself, and I do. But whenever you lose something because of what you said or did or didn't do, you're going to feel shame. It's a normal human emotion. So just if you feel ashamed, stop doing what you're doing that's making you feel ashamed. That's the solution. But how do you stop doing it? That's called addiction. Now, the number one cure for addiction is to realize, okay, what is it that I'm doing that I should stop? And then stop. But how do you stop? Well, why is it hard to stop? Once you know something's not good for you, then you say, I'm not going to do this anymore. But then you do it again and again because when you have stress hormones, they hijack your brain. And what they do is they produce your brain needs to make dopamine when you're stressed because your body thinks I'm in danger. So I have to take action. And so your brain's going to go to whatever produces the highest dopamine. And that's going to be addictive substances are all substances that are behaviors. Porn is a behavior, but it produces massive amounts of dopamine, more than normal amounts. So once you start getting into the routine of taking an addictive substance, for example, we take cocaine. Most people understand that's an addictive drug and it's hard to stop taking it. Why is it hard to stop taking it? Because it produces high dopamine levels. Now, see, right now I'm earning my dopamine. I'm facing you. I'm trying to help people and give support. I'm making dopamine by setting a goal and taking action to achieve that goal. And I'm rewarded. I'm appreciated by that goal. Okay, so it all comes together for dopamine. Now, let's say in life, I'm not feeling successful. I'm not doing things and getting appreciation and love and support. My testosterone goes down. I have stress hormones. I feel empty. Oh, I need a hit. And so somebody comes along, gives you dopamine, and that's free dopamine. You didn't have to earn it. You kind of go, whoa, that's fantastic. I can't do this on my own. And your testosterone shoots up. You feel like a man for a brief moment, just for a little while. That's it. And then it crashes back down. So it goes up, it crashes down, and now life is even more boring and flat. You need that excitement from dopamine, so you go back to the drug. Same thing with porn. When you do porn, what happens? Your brain changes. You get this big dopamine hit, and no woman in real life can ever produce that much dopamine in you. You see, it's like vegetables can only produce so much dopamine. Sugar can. So that's why you teach your children, you don't give them desserts before a meal, because if you give them dessert, you get a big dopamine. I want the sweets. Vegetables are boring because they don't stimulate as much dopamine. But see, the way dopamine works is high dopamine has to, before it to feel the hit, to feel good about it, it gets released in the brain and it goes into a receptor site. And the receptors, when it hits the receptor site says, ooh, that feels good. And then it's gone. So that feels good and it's gone. But if it's a big hit, then what happens, the receptor site closes down. So now your ability to receive dopamine, the hit of dopamine, is less. Very much like if I looked into the light as sunshine, my pupils will close. And if you go into a regular room, they'll seem dark until the pupils open up. Same thing. When you hit the big high, everything seems a little dark. And then you feel like, oh, I need my high again, as opposed to staying in the dark until your pupils open up. And that's called withdrawal symptoms. So how do you minimize withdrawal symptoms? I figured out the solution for this because that's what all ADD is. For a male, it's hyper-focus. Sit in front. They say a boy in classroom can't listen to the teacher. He's restless, can't stay still. His mind's going everywhere. Put that same boy in front of a video game that stimulates dopamine. He can sit there all day. Okay. So it's not like a problem focusing. It's inhibited dopamine function. And I explained when you have high stimulation, your receptor sites close down. And you do that over time, you have inhibited dopamine function. That's ADD symptoms for boys. It's often the reverse for many women. Which is overwhelmed. They can't focus. They have too many things to do. So they're multifocusing everywhere and they're overwhelmed. So that's another problem. But they both have inhibited dopamine function. So the extreme version of inhibited dopamine function happened to me at 50 years old, 24 years ago. I had early stage Parkinson's. And we're seeing now everybody's getting Parkinson's because everybody has ADD, because everybody eats sugar. It's all happening. And what we now have is what I figured out at the time was the solution. And for me, early stage. And what it is I went to a clinic and people are doing this now. Biohackers are getting peptides put into their injections of peptides that can do almost anything. They just cost thousands of dollars, right? So I went to Mexico. This is like a long time ago. I had to go. Peptides were illegal here at that time. So I went down there. I got my injections of peptides in a clinic for alcoholics, drug addicts, sitting in a room where there's a cocaine addict, heroin addict, OxyContin addict, smoking addict, complaining addict, every these addictions. And we're all in a room, all like 9 of us, and getting these IV drips for 4 hours of peptides into our system. No side effects for any of those people. I didn't have addiction, but what I had is Parkinson's, which is another form of inhibited dopamine function. See, what happens with Parkinson's is that if I would focus, my dopamine is used up focusing, and then my body doesn't have enough dopamine to control the muscles. So if I'm not thinking, then my body wouldn't shake. But once I start to think, that's an actual symptom of Parkinson's. That's how it's diagnosed. So anyway, I went through the treatment. It was 9-day treatment. It was $10,000. I went home. It usually lasts about 3 months. I went back, did it again. But all these people would go off their addiction for 3 months. And usually it would come back because it didn't actually heal the brain. You needed to get that treatment all the time. So I figured out a natural solution for it, which is now being part of that solution. Finally, after 10 years, I've been promoting these ideas, but after 10 years, Harvard University has done the study and said that what I'm suggesting as part of the solution is now being recommended as a treatment for Alzheimer's and to reverse Alzheimer's. So this is like something that everybody, the pharmaceutical industry said, don't take it, and it's the magic mineral lithium. Lithium balances the brain chemicals. Lithium restores dopamine function in your brain. It also causes brain cells to reproduce. Does all these great things, but generally speaking, inhibited dopamine function can look like waves of being upset and then being depressed, upset and depressed. And they would give lithium for people who are bipolar, which had big waves up and down, up and down. And the only way they could get it to work was to give the body 50 times the dose. Well, now lithium orotate, which is I've been promoting for all these years, 23 years, has been discovered by Harvard to be the only form of lithium that works. And it's the only form of lithium that has no side effects, no toxicity. And yet, and all around the world, unfortunately, nobody can buy it because it's illegal to sell. The only place you can buy it is in America, although it's illegal everywhere because it's not a drug. It's just a mineral that every time you eat sugar or you get excited or you have stress, you run out of. And you don't need very much, tiny, tiny little bit. So it's called lithium orotate. And what I've done, having promoted this for 23 years, combined it with testing it out with other orotates. There's calcium, magnesium, and then all of the adaptogens. So I have the lithium orotate advanced design, and that's at my website, marsvenus.com. So that's one side of it, getting your brain chemicals in balance. The next thing you have to do, and everybody, this will improve your relationship and hormone balance, is, again, peptides, amino acid peptides. So you can get injections of amino acid peptides. That's also what that treatment was amino acid peptides going in my body, precursors for dopamine and serotonin. Well, what I said, I don't want to spend I didn't have $10,000 to spend every 3 months. So I figured out how to do it at home. What you do at home is you get super high quality protein. Okay, it has to be the same balance as mother's milk. Half of it whey protein, half of it casein. Like cow's milk is 90% casein. So it's got to be a balance of whey and casein, like your mother's milk. Then what you do is you add enzymes to it and warm water at 101 degrees, and you let it incubate for 45 minutes, and it converts into peptides. And I've been doing this for 23 years, and these peptides go in my brain. Each time I do it, it's like, wow, my brain just feels so expanded, and a rush of like air goes up my back. It's fantastic experience to have your brain be charged up. And you can get the same thing from getting these expensive peptides, which is, if you can afford it, it's a good thing. But if you want to just be all natural, which is I like just natural stuff as much as I can. I do other supplements, but that's the key factor for me.
Yeah, very interesting, John. For young people growing up in a world of dating apps and short attention spans, what's your advice for them for finding real lasting love?
Okay, dating apps. Let me finish that last thing. I do need to just mention that people are all going to write to me and say, where do I find the protein that you use? If you go to marsvenus.com, just go to the contact place and just say, hey, I'd like more information about that. And we give free coaching on it because there's other things I teach as well, which is cleansing the body, weight loss, and those things. So we provide the free coaching if people are interested with no obligation. So that's available. I just want people to know that. So dating apps, it's a disaster, okay? So talk about dopamine stimulation and addiction and so forth. We're addicted to dopamine stimulation. Here it is. I can sit on X or Facebook. That's interesting. That's interesting. It asks me, go through an hour of it. and say, "What did you learn? What did you what did you hear?" Your brain is completely blank. You're just getting sugar. It's just sugar in your brain, and it's unfortunate that we have all of this. And now when you're having so many choices, you would think having more choices, women are looking online, all these choices of men, you'd think that that would make it easy to decide. It doesn't. The more choices you have, the more you compare. Comparison is the thief of unhappiness, a thief of happiness. It's too much. If you only had like 3 people, then you could work with that comparison. But now you have so many. And of course, it encourages women tremendously to have sex on the first date, because if they give messages that they're open to sex and so forth, of course, any man's going to say yes. It's what these guys are doing. They're horny and they're looking online. They find a woman, and if you happen to be over 6 feet tall and you've got a good job and you have a house, 90% of the women will have sex with you. That's the reality today. And that guy who has all that choice, he's never going to commit to you. It's never going to happen because he has a pick of all these women. And so he's not going to settle for one. I mean, it's literally destructive to relationships. I have to say, on one hand, sometimes it works for people. I know people who met their husbands and through that, and that was all good. But it's really another form of addiction in our life. And the best thing is, from my recommendation, is through friends referring people, through being in groups. The people who still believe in God, who go to some community experience, that's really a good place to find someone. But there's a lot of different places, but personal contact, because so many times you meet somebody online and it all seems great, but it's fantasy. It's not a real person yet. Dopamine goes up, and then you get into the person's energy field and it's just not there. Chemistry is a big mystery. It's biological. There's literally your energy field turns on to somebody. I can go into a room. When I was single, I could go into a room and just look around. I couldn't do that one, couldn't do that one, couldn't do that one, that one, and that one. That's it. It's a natural thing for men, and men have a pointer. We're born with a pointer. We're supposed to check out the woman that we're turned on to first, or could be turned on to. That's a major factor for men. For women, that's men starting south and going up. If they have sex right away, they don't get a chance to experience the bonding on the heart and the mind, because after sex, you're done. So women's job is to come from the head to the heart, then to below the waist. They don't have a pointer. Their pointer is their mind and their heart. And when the hormones go into balance, then sex drive happens. And that's in a healthy woman. The problem is we have all these women who have father issues because their parents were divorced. They didn't have a father. So they tend to be attracted to unavailable men. It's just simply that man is dangerous, and danger produces dopamine. And in a woman, if dopamine goes up, like that's the newness of a relationship, but now you've got danger on top of it. Dopamine goes up, and in the presence of danger, if she feels safe, it's a complex thing. And danger has to be there, but I also feel safe. I have a protector, then my estrogen will go up. But with a dangerous man, how to make him your protector? Be sexual. Because every man completely connects, becomes more friendly when you say, "Oh, I'll have sex with you." But he won't be committed to you. You won't have that bond, and you can't bond. The research actually shows that when women have oxytocin released at orgasm, if she has an orgasm, she'll experience attachment. Attachment is not bonding. Okay, there's 2 different things. She will immediately go into anxious attachment. When a woman has orgasm with a man who's not committed to her, she'll go into what in attachment theory, anxious attachment. She'll feel like, oh, I have to connect with him. I have to hold on to him. What happened? And he feels hurt. He didn't call me back. All that stuff is because she had sex too soon, and she becomes anxious attachment, if people know that philosophy. But I'll stick with that on that one.
Yeah. I love it, John. Let's now move into the Win the Day Rocket Round. 10 questions for some quick answers. Since you've already been on the show before, we've already done the traditional Rocket Round. So what I do for repeat guests is come up with a whole set of new questions for some quick answers. So you ready for these, John?
Yep.
Number 1, should couples have a TV in the bedroom?
No, you don't want electricity in the bedroom. And you don't want stimulation in the bedroom, because that's another woman in the bedroom. That's him looking to something else to stimulate him as opposed to her, or vice versa.
Number 2, what's an instant red flag on a first date?
Oh, he doesn't want to pay for the meal, if we're talking for a woman. Red flag for a man is he's complaining the whole time.
Number 3, if couples changed one thing about their relationship, what should it be?
understand how men and women are different. Women have to learn to share, men have to learn to listen, but we explain the real subtlety of that today.
Number 4, what's the best piece of relationship advice you've ever heard?
Read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
I think your answer to the last question covered that one as well. Number 5, what's one daily habit that keeps love alive?
5-finger ask. Women need to ask men. Women have to create the opportunity for men to do something new and different that will actually have an impact on her.
Number 6, what's a common piece of relationship advice you think people should ignore?
Talk about everything. If you're upset, keep talking. My advice, of course, if you're upset, go to your corners, go to another room, and then come back peacefully.
I agree with that. Number 7, if someone's partner feels distant, what's one thing they can do today to reconnect?
Well, if a woman is feeling distant, start doing nice things around her and gradually get closer to her and say, "What's going on?" And be an open ear. And she'll say nothing, and then just stand there, and then she'll start talking to you. Don't walk away. Just be present for her. And if a man's not talking, he pulls away. Ignore him. Go out and do something that makes you feel good. Be happy. He'll come back.
Number 8, what's the most underrated quality in a great partner?
Well, I think today, underrated thing is the importance of sex. If women could understand, if you learn how to enjoy sex and you initiate sex with your partner, you're going to have a man die for you. It's just like the most important thing. And I understand women need a particular kind of support before she can feel her desire for sex. But if you create the opportunity for him to do those things, then you will want sex. This is biology. Again, when your estrogen goes really high, then your testosterone balances it and you want to have sex as opposed to obligation.
Number 9, what timeless practices or rituals have had the biggest impact on your life personally? Like, is there something as part of your daily routine that you still do every day?
Meditation.
And last question, number 10, what does a winning relationship look like to you?
Making love all the time.
I love it. Well, do you want to quickly mention your new book as well? I know we've got that coming out soon.
So the new book should be coming up if it's not out, it's going to be out very soon. It's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus for women only. Subtitle, Be Happy With or Without a Man. When you can be happy with or without a man, then a man's job becomes easy. He can make you happier, and that's the healthiest relationship.
Well, there are a bunch of ways to connect with John, and we'll link to all of these in the show notes. You can follow him on Instagram at JohnGrayMarsVenus_official. Visit his website, marsvenus.com. I'll include all of the things that he's mentioned during this episode too, and grab a copy of his new book on Amazon. Again, all that and more will be linked in the show notes. John, what an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
So nice to see you. So nice to be with you.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Win the Day podcast. We want to hear your thoughts on what we covered today, so drop a comment on the YouTube version of this episode with your favorite takeaway, any questions you have, or what actions you'll be taking as a result of what was shared in this episode. And if you found value in the Win the Day podcast, leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You'll find a link to both of those in the show notes. It'll only take you a few seconds, and more ratings really helps other people discover the show so they can get the mindset upgrade they need, and we can bring more winners into the Win the Day movement. That's all for this episode. Get out there and win the day. Until next time, onwards and upwards, always.